All right, so here we are in Chapter 9, and Chapter 9 is extremely important. It's collecting data with forms. So you guys actually going to learn that Dreamweaver allows you to create forms. The trick and the disclaimer on this is that you actually, for the form actually to work, to do what it needs to do in a live website, you actually have to have pieces of code attaching in the background to actually work the mechanisms of the form. So within Stripe Umbrella, within here in our LAN, is not going to work. But if the moment you put this on the internet with a live internet service, they are going to provide you with instructions of which kind of code they provide for you. So lesson 1. Well, first off, in lesson 1, if you open up page 9-5, you're going to see that you have to have forms. They are a graphic element. So you kind of have to have a layout for that. Look at Figure 1 on page 9-5. You see that you have the labels to the left and usually fields to the right. Flip to page 9-6, and you're going to see that this is what a form will look like on an actual page. Okay, on Figure 2 there. You're going to notice that there is a red highlight around the form. Do you see that red dashed line? Okay, so you have to pay attention to the red dashed line because that's the form tag, and everything that is part of a form needs to be inside of that. Also, you're going to see that the property inspectors change a little bit. There are different methods: get method, post method. That kind of stuff has to deal with how you want your form to behave in a web server environment. So we're going to go through the process of looking at this. Oh yeah, by the way, and there's another way on page 9-7. I'm going to make you guys read this later, but CGI scripts are the piece of programs that actually work with your forms to manipulate the elements of your form and the input given on your form. Switch to page 9-8 and it takes you to the steps of creating a form. The more important thing here, I'm going to skip to step number 3. You're going to notice that there's a form category on your insert panel list on the top there, something you've never used before. And the first step of creating a form is actually using this first button here, okay, which is the form button. So I'm going to click on that. And the moment I click on that, you're going to see that the red outline, dashed outline, shows up. Everything that you put inside of this red outline is going to be a form. If we look in a code view, it creates a form HTML tag, and that has the form ID. What's the name of the form? And also what method you're going to be using to process the information within the form. On page 9-9, you're going to be using the method post. Okay, so and it's by default. Other options that you may have is get and the default, which I think reverts to whatever the web server tells it to do. On lesson 2, it takes you to steps of adding elements to the form. In this case, you're going to be using a table to do the layout. Okay, so you're going to create a table of, I don't know, 2 columns. Okay, and on the left column is going to be the labels, the text that guides the user how to use the form. And on the right hand side, you're going to be using the fields, the input fields. So skip to page lesson 3, page 9-19. I'm not going to create the field, the table here. I'm just going to straight away Actually, I might be able to. Here, I'll just do this. I insert a table. Whoops. Dialog box pops up. And I'm going to just use 2 rows, 3. No, I'm going to use. I didn't want to change this too much. 3 rows. 2 columns. Okay. So say you have something like this on your screen. On the left-hand side, you're going to be putting the labels, what the fields are, and then you skip to the right-hand side and you start adding elements. I'm going to go back to my insert bar list arrow forms, and the first button here is going to be your text field, and you can have several different things you can do. You can put checkboxes, you can put radio buttons, groups. Okay. You could put insert labels, all kinds of different functions. The ones that you're going to be covering are the single line and the multiple line. Did it work for me? Yeah, it did. Dialog boxes pop up, and you're going to have to put whatever information they ask you. Okay. Let me see if I. Okay, I just canceled that out, and actually the form's still there. Pay attention to the status bar of the document window. It shows me that this table, it's inside of the form tag, form 1 ID. Okay? A common mistake that people do when they get to this part of the book is I'm going to create a blank page. A common thing that people do in here is that they start creating form elements right away. Okay? So and I don't even see it. Is it there? Did it not happen? Oh. And then you get a different dialog box. Add form tag. Say yes. And then they come down here. They press enter. And they go and insert something else. Like maybe another element here. Then they get another dialog box. They keep saying yes. Do you want to add a form tag? Yes. And what happened here?
Scroll bar.
Huh?
Scroll bar.
Yeah, but what happens here?
Makes the box bigger.
No, independent of the object.
It's 2 different forms.
Yes. Later on, that's perfect. Later on, you're going to click on that guy here to add a button. Same thing's going to pop up. Give me some, attributes. Whatever. Same thing's going to pop up again. It's going to ask for this yes or no question. You're going to be creating 2 buttons in this form. A reset button that clears all the fields that you have information on, and a submit button that gathers all the information and processes it according to whatever the script tells it to do. The problem is that if you have multiple forms, look, I have form 1, form 2, and form 3. Where is the button? Submit button.
3.
Form 3. Where are the other elements?
1 and 2.
Yeah. They are not on the same form. The button is only going to act to elements it's in its own form. So what's going to happen when you actually say preview this in our browser? I'm going to click on live view here, see what it's going to look like. People are going to fill up information on those fields, and then you're going to click on the submit button. But is anything going to happen to those fields? They're not on the same form. That happens every year because people don't pay attention, because the first step is to put the form tag, and then put all the elements of the form inside of the form tag. Okay? So the first step is going to be, you're going to create a form tag. Inside of the form tag, you're going to create a table. Inside of the table, you're going to put the form elements, including the button. If these things are not inside of the same form field, the things are not going to work the way they're supposed to. If you did it the right way, Dreamweaver is going to notice that when you're inserting a form element and you don't have a form tag around it, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to, I noticed that you have nothing. Do you want me to add a form tag? And then if you say no, it's not going to add a form tag. You're just not going to be. It's just going to be an element sitting there on a page. If you add a form tag, then now you just created a new form tag that may or may not work. Okay, so this is basically chapter 9. It's going to take you through steps of creating a form, a feedback form in Dreamweaver.